So what is Django, you might be asking yourself? And in this video, we're going to cover that, and I will tell you exactly what Django is and isn't. So Django was named after a jazz guitarist, Django Reinhardt, but don't worry, I'm not going to be doing any singing or playing any musical instruments, so you don't have to worry about cutting off your volume. Django is actually a web framework. So Django is a web framework, a set of principles and tools to help develop web applications. And it is used by some of the biggest companies. So Instagram uses Django, Spotify uses Django. Many of these companies started off being built primarily or solely on Django, but now as they grew, it is a component or makes up different components of their infrastructure. And Django follows what is known as this MVT pattern. So in other languages, in other frameworks, you might see it called MVC pattern. In Django, it's called MVT, or this might be reordered into MTV, but we will cover it next so you know exactly what this MVT pattern is. It stands for Model View Template. And now we're just going to go through an example request and response cycle within Django and showing where this MVT pattern sits and where all of the pieces are within our Django project. So the first step is the user makes a request to a website. So they want to go to some website, myweb.com or google.com or spotify.com, some website from their browser. And that gets sent over to the server where your Django project is running. The next step is that Django resolves this request to a specific URL. So in this case, it's going to myweb.com, nothing after .com. So it's going to the home URL. If it had myweb.com/about, then Django would resolve this to the URL for the about. And if it was myweb.com/item/one, then Django would know to resolve the request to that URL. And again, this is just a Python file here. So Django resolves it to the correct URL, in this case, the home route. The next step is that this gets passed along to a specific view that's associated with that URL. And so the view, again, it's just some Python code. It's going to be a Python file in our projects. And the view here is what the V stands for here. So the view contains the logic. So you could think of it like being the quarterback. It sort of brings the team together and kind of calls the play and calls the shots. And so here is where we will have different logic, like getting the correct data, getting the correct HTML template. So the first thing we might do is interact with our model, which is what the M stands for here, which is the database. So this is the database of information. And the view will interact with the model. In this case, it might query some data about the homepage. So maybe we display some kind of stats about our business, like number of sites created and number of hours our tool could save you, something like that. And so it will query that data from the database and have it in this view. And then the final piece is this T, this template. So these are HTML files usually that are called templates, that are the visual aspect of what the user will see. So the view could grab the correct template and inject the correct data in there. So for this homepage, it might grab the homepage HTML, so an index.html page, and the correct data about the business or product, and package those up and send that back as a response to the user. So it'll send back this template that's been injected with the correct data, sent back to the user, and the user is able to see the fully built out homepage. And so that's this MVT pattern and how Django works. And as we build each project in this course, each section will build upon pieces of this MVT pattern. So by the end, you'll be super familiar with this pattern and with these URLs and these views and models and templates. And it really is just a structured way to handle these requests and responses. And that's essentially what a framework is.